Hello, I'm Lisa Antunes, Superintendent of our school district. I hope this communication finds everyone healthy, well, and enjoying some summer fun. I know that everyone is anxiously awaiting to hear about our plans for the reopening of schools only several short weeks away, and that is what this presentation is intended to provide. You will hear me say this many times throughout the presentation. However, it is very important to understand that the plans are tentative and subject to change based upon guidance we receive from the governor's office, the New Jersey Department of Education, and the local Department of Health. In fact, the plan was due last Friday, and the district submitted our plan accordingly. Monday afternoon, we received additional directives that required a revision to our plans. While this is certainly expected based upon what is being reported, it can be frustrating for everyone. Subsequent to receiving the Roadback Restart and Recovery Plan to reopen schools from the Department of Ed on June 26th, district administrators began formulating the best and most efficient way to meet the mandates as outlined in the plan within the framework provided based upon the needs of our students, staff, and community. A district restart committee made up of a variety of stakeholders was formed and have been meeting a minimum of 1 time per week and most often 2 to 3 times per week. Each principal also formed a pandemic response team. These teams have been meeting consistently over the last several weeks as well. We'd like to offer a shout out and heartfelt thanks to those members of both the District Restart Committee and the pandemic response teams who have graciously volunteered their time to assisting us in the development of the plan. While the plan has been submitted, we will continue to revise and refine the plan as necessary to comply with the mandates from the Governor's Office, the New Jersey Department of Education, and the local Department of Health. This presentation is intended to provide you with our current plan for reopening schools in September. This specific presentation is not intended to provide every detail associated with the implementation and logistics. However, it will assist in essentially providing parents and staff with the overarching hot air balloon view of the overall plan, if you will. Details are in the full plan that we submitted to the county and will be available for those who are interested. Additional information will also be shared by each school and eventually by each teacher in terms of the ins and outs of his, her, their structure and expectations for students within the classroom. While we suspect the overall schedule will remain intact, plans may be adjusted and tweaked along the way. In the New Jersey Department of Education's Roadback Plan, the governor stated, "Every decision to reopen a sector of New Jersey is determined by data demonstrating the decline in the spread of COVID-19. Data determines dates." He mandated that absent a shift in the public health data, school buildings will open in some capacity for in-person instruction and operations in the fall. He further went on to say that each district will be expected to develop, in collaboration with community stakeholders, a plan to reopen schools in the fall that best fits the district's local needs, and that the reopening of our schools will include necessary limitations to protect the health and safety of our students and staff. Our charge was very clear, and we were and remain committed to fulfilling that charge. This information, available on the CDC website, is being utilized by school districts across the country. We have a comfort level knowing that we are able to answer yes to the queries. District administrators wanted to be sure to keep the essential questions outlined on this slide front and center in order to help guide our work and decision making. How can we ensure a safe learning environment for our staff and our students? What did we learn from the spring closure? How do we systemically ensure differentiation and personalized learning for our students? How will we incorporate social emotional learning into our learning environment? And how do we continue on our pathway of innovation and progress? So Hillsborough Township School District, like the rest of the state, closed all our schools in March via executive order. Our charge was to develop a plan to safely reopen schools in some capacity for September, and one of the most recent mandates included an all virtual option for parents. The virtual option for parents that we're presenting today is very different than the executive order to close schools. It's a little bit different. That's not what we're talking about at the moment. The District Restart Committee looked at a variety of options, and the following was determined to, at this time, work best for the information we currently have. In September, as long as the governor does not close schools via executive order, parents will have 2 options from which to choose for their children: a fully virtual option or a hybrid option. Depending upon how many families choose the fully virtual option will determine how the hybrid option will unfold. Ultimately, we would like to increase our in-person capacity in stages, beginning with less than or equal to 50% capacity in school buildings and work our way up to 75% capacity or so until we reach 100% capacity. Let's go through this together. If school buildings are open, parents will have a choice between a fully virtual option following the hybrid schedule or a hybrid option, which is a combination of in-person, face-to-face instruction in school and virtual learning. So the virtual learning is just like the hybrid learning, only it's at home. And the hybrid is in-person and virtual. So if a parent chooses the hybrid option, the child or children will come to school 2 days a week in person. They will be half days, and they will receive instruction virtually 3 days a week. Students will be divided into red and gold cohorts based upon last name. Right now, we've divided it between A to L and M to Z. Now, while this is tentative at this time, because it will be dependent upon the number of families choosing the all virtual option, so we may tweak that a little bit, but please don't worry that family units will be separated. Utilizing this division, family units will be in the same cohort, even if there are different last names within the family. The red cohort will meet on Monday and Tuesday, A day and B day, and the gold cohort will meet on Thursday and Friday, A day and B day. On Wednesday, everyone will be teaching and learning virtually. Low incidence classes, like our autism class, including the full day pre-K, our LLD severe class, and our mild moderate behavior disabilities class will attend in person 4 days per week, depending upon class size and instructional space. Lunches will not be served, but grab and go lunches may be ordered by all students to take home at dismissal. If the full virtual option is chosen, which remember is the same as the hybrid, except you're doing it from home, we ask that you commit for a minimum of 1 marking period. The marking period is September 3rd through November 13th. It's going to follow the same hybrid schedule split and will be equal in quality and scope of instruction. There will be structured schedules, and there will be real live teaching and learning time called synchronous learning, and then there will be some independent asynchronous learning time. Video recordings will be available for those families who are unable to participate in the synchronous learning time for whatever reason. Special education and related services will be provided. Now, this is a sample of what a hybrid model schedule for grades 1 through 4 will look like. So you see that the red and gold cohorts are differentiated. On Monday and Tuesday, the red cohort receives in-person learning until dismissal in the morning and goes home and has virtual specials. While the gold cohort on Monday and Tuesday are engaged in virtual learning in the morning and will also receive virtual specials. On Thursday and Friday, the red cohort will engage in virtual learning all day, utilizing synchronous and asynchronous materials and engage in virtual specials. And the gold cohort will be in person in our buildings learning until dismissal, and then we'll go home and have virtual specials. On Wednesdays, there will be virtual learning using asynchronous materials, as well as 1 synchronous class meeting for class community building and scheduled small group and one-to-one instructional times. Our kindergarten schedule looks a little bit different, but not much. The morning and afternoon students will follow a hybrid model schedule and attend 1 full 4-hour day per week. The afternoon kindergarten session will actually be held during morning hours. So the PM hours will resume when we return to a regular schedule. So let's take a look at this. On Monday, which is A day, in the red cohort, our AM kindergarten students will be in-person learning until dismissal and will go home to engage in virtual specials. In the afternoon, they'll be in specials. On Tuesday, the red cohort, which will be the PM kindergarten students, will be morning in-person learning until dismissal, and then engage in virtual specials in the afternoon. The gold cohort on Monday in the morning will be virtually learning, utilizing asynchronous materials and virtual specials in the afternoon. And on the B day on Tuesday, the gold cohort will be virtually learning using asynchronous materials, and the afternoon having virtual specials. And it's similar for Thursday and Friday. On Wednesday, all students will be all virtual and synchronous materials will be utilized. However, there will be one synchronous, which is live class meeting for class community building, and scheduled small groups and one-to-one instructional times. This is a sample of our pre-K only hybrid model, and more information pertaining to our pre-K students will be provided. However, I do want to point out that our full day class will be attending in person 4 days a week. The schedule for Awe and Road is outlined on this slide. The red and gold cohorts are outlined, with the red cohort attending school in person on Mondays and Tuesdays, while the gold cohort attends school in person on Thursdays and Fridays. All students will attend virtually on Wednesdays, and there will be scheduled synchronous and asynchronous teaching and learning being conducted. Sample schedules are included to provide you some idea of what the day may look like. The schedule for the middle school is outlined on this slide. Just as you saw with the Awe and Road schedule, the red and gold cohorts are outlined. The red cohort attending school in person on Mondays and Tuesdays, and the gold cohort attending school in person on Thursdays and Fridays. All students will attend virtually on Wednesdays. Scheduled synchronous and asynchronous teaching and learning will be conducted. Sample schedules are included to provide you with some idea of what a day may look like. Finally, this is a sample high school schedule. Just as you saw with the middle school and Awe and Road schedules, the red and gold cohorts are outlined. The red cohort attending school in person on Mondays and Tuesdays, and the gold cohort attending school in person on Thursdays and Fridays. All students will attend virtually on Wednesdays. Scheduled synchronous and asynchronous teaching and learning will be conducted. Sample schedules are included to provide you with some idea of what a day may look like. Now, choosing the hybrid option, which remember is a combination of in-person and virtual learning, will require a shift in mindset upon return to the school building. So face coverings will be required for all staff and students at all times. Classroom and restroom doors will be propped open to hopefully eliminate the frequently touching of those areas. There will be no more flexible groupings or seatings right now. There will be more traditional rows of students, each facing forward. And we are not allowing or very much limiting visitors. Face coverings will be required for visitors as well. One-way hallways and stairwells will be assigned, and we are adding signage for that. And grab-and-go lunches will be available. Virtual field trips will be allowed. However, locker rooms will not be utilized at all, and playground structures will also not be utilized. Additionally, the Roadback plan outlined 10 critical areas of operation that had to be addressed in our plan. I'm going to go through the 10 areas, noting here for you that we added technology to the critical areas. Also, while we are providing you with the highlights in this presentation, please know that the full plan delves deeper into these areas. While you may hear some of the information repeated, it is because the repeated information may fit under more than one critical area. So if we take a look at the general health and safety guidelines, it's important to know that Hillsborough Township Public Schools complies with the CDC, state, and local guidelines. All students, staff, and visitors are required to wear face coverings at all times unless there's a limiting medical condition, and we will be asking staff and parents to provide doctor's notes and parents to provide a note from the pediatrician or doctor as to why their child or children can't wear a mask. Reasonable accommodations for staff and students at a higher risk for severe illness will be considered. Frequent hand washing will be encouraged. Enhanced cleaning protocols are in place, and hand sanitizing stations will be located in all classrooms and high traffic areas throughout every facility. In terms of classroom testing and therapy rooms, they too will follow social distancing guidelines to the greatest extent possible. Students will line up 6 feet apart with markers and floor signage to promote social distancing. And while the use of shared objects will be discouraged, if there is a need to share equipment for any reason, it will be cleaned and sanitized between students. Locker rooms will be closed. We have a very high level of confidence in terms of our district-owned buses adhering to the guidelines set forth. Face coverings for drivers, aides, and students will be required at all times, again, unless there's a limiting medical condition. And physical distancing is not possible on our school buses. Now, that is dependent upon how many people choose that option. District buses will be disinfected after morning runs and in the afternoon, and additional cleaning in between runs will also take place to the greatest extent possible. District buses will load from back to front and unload from front to back. Seats will be assigned at all levels, and contracted buses must affirm adherence to our district policies. Addressing student flow, entry, exit, and common areas, there will be one-way hallways utilized to the greatest extent possible. If necessary, passing time between classes will be increased to allow for less crowding. We're already going to be at maximum 50% capacity, perhaps less, so this may or may not be an issue. Signage will be placed to encourage proper social distancing in all schools. Markers will direct flow and encourage people to maintain physical distance, much like you see in grocery stores or home goods stores. Specific doors for drop-off and pickup will be communicated to parents, and playground equipment will not be utilized during school or by outside organizations and will be roped off accordingly. Parents will be asked to screen students at home, and staff will screen themselves at home, utilizing a universal screening tool, which will be out prior to the beginning of school. Visual screenings will occur as students enter and throughout the day for visible symptoms of illness, and random temperature checks will take place. Staff and students are encouraged to remain home if they feel ill, or if there's a responsive yes to any of the specific questions in the screening tool. Please know that protocols for symptomatic students and staff are detailed further in the Restart and Recovery Plan to reopen schools, and that we will utilize the Hillsborough Township Department of Health to guide us on the length of quarantine and the exclusion of students, siblings, and staff upon suspicion or confirmation of positive cases. If students are ill, they are absent for the day, just like they would be in school, and can refer to Google Classroom for any assignments or to get extra help as needed, just like they would be doing in school. Same goes for staff. If staff are ill, then they're out for the day. Contact tracing is the process used to identify those who have come into contact with people who have tested positive for contagious diseases, including COVID-19. And it is our intention that each school will have a dedicated contact tracer. An option will be provided to our school community for grab-and-go meals that will be sent home with students at the end of the day. A Google Doc will be provided to parents to order their children's lunches for the week, both paid and those who meet the criteria for free and reduced lunch categories. Students who meet the criteria for free and reduced lunch will receive meals regardless of their orders. Excuse me. Grab-and-go options will be increased. And since we are not serving lunch in school, it stands to reason that family-style, self-service, and buffet-style dining will be discontinued. We have enhanced our preventative cleaning practices and procedures and have implemented we have implemented to target frequently touched areas in all facilities using protocols as outlined by the EPA. All district facilities will undergo a deep cleaning and sanitizing daily, and restrooms will be closed for approximately 20 to 30 minutes throughout the day for sanitizing. Not all of them at the same time, they'll be rotated through. Information regarding Chromebook distribution for grades pre-K to 12 will be forthcoming. And remember that parents will be required to sign for receipt and understanding of the district acceptable use policy prior to Chromebook pickup. Recess will not take place during the hybrid model schedule for our students in grades K through 5. And our phys ed classes in grades K through 4 will be virtual in the afternoons. And our grades 5 through 12 physical education classes will take place outside whenever possible and utilize designated doors for entrance and exit, keeping in mind one-way traffic flow when feasible. And again, locker rooms will not be utilized, so it's important that students come to school prepared for phys ed. All extracurricular activities will comply with applicable physical distancing requirements and hygiene protocol, and athletics are following the NJSIAA guidelines, which are also being updated frequently. Utilization of the gym for extracurricular activities or outside organizations will be sectioned off and assigned, as will entrances and exits. At this time, the board is not really approving any use of facilities by outside organizations, with the exception of before and after school childcare programs. This slide is also from the CDC and is utilized to assist us in planning for as safe a reopening as is possible in the climate that we're living. This document, provided by the New Jersey Department of Health, provides us with guidance on the contact of a close or casual contact of a confirmed or suspected case of COVID-19. Please be assured, though, that we have and will continue to reach out to our local health officer to guide us about the best course of action. I'd also like to emphasize that the Department of Health defines casual contacts as being in the same indoor environment, so it could be a classroom, an office, or gathering with a symptomatic confirmed COVID-19 case. And they define close contacts as individuals who are within 6 feet of a confirmed COVID-19 case for a prolonged period of time, which, according to them, is 10 minutes or more. So parents, we need you to be on the lookout for a form to make your choice. The form will be in the Genesis Parent Portal, and we will provide a link to you, but you can also go into the Genesis Parent Portal to provide us with your option. Now, the option will be for hybrid instruction for the first marking period, which is some in-person in our school's time and some virtual time, or the fully virtual option aligned with the hybrid schedule. This is not about if the governor closes schools. This is only about the choice you have. We don't have a choice if the governor closes schools. So we are asking parents to make this choice at this time. Now, while we are not there yet, we may have to pivot to school closures within a 24-hour period. Only if schools are closed due to an executive order from the governor, all students, there will be no choice. All students will be all virtual. While I'm not going to go into great detail at this time, we just wanted to provide a sample of how a day may be structured. Again, this may be adjusted and tweaked as time goes on. However, synchronous and asynchronous teaching and learning experiences will be provided within a structured framework. This is a sample schedule for our elementary schools. So students will be engaged in instruction virtually every day, structured timeframes and content areas of focus utilizing Google Meet and/or video recording, and we even put in a scheduled lunch. This is a sample schedule for Aunton Road. And again, this is if school buildings are closed via executive order. Teachers are expected to provide synchronous learning experiences for whole class learning with asynchronous components to support assistance or accelerated learning. There will be mini lessons to address gaps, perhaps some demos, perhaps some just reviewing lessons. And this is the expectation really across the board. This is a sample middle school schedule if all students are virtual all the time via executive order, and a sample high school schedule. As I conclude this presentation, I would like to offer my gratitude to my administrative team, both district and building level, who have and who will continue to work tirelessly to ensure safe and structured reopening, no matter the situation which we may find ourselves. I would also like to offer my thanks to the District Restart Committee and pandemic response teams who have volunteered their time to this overwhelmingly complicated charge, and to the board who have worked overtime with us also on a purely volunteer basis. If you would like to read our full plan, you may do so on our website. It will likely be ready Friday or so, Friday afternoon. We have provided a link to the plan and to FAQs. The FAQs and the plan will be revised and updated. Building principals will be sharing more information over the next several weeks, but please do not hesitate to reach out should specific questions arise. Finally, we know that one size plan does not fit all, and further, that some will like this plan and others may not. Please know that this plan was created within the framework of the guidance provided as mandated by the Governor's Office and the New Jersey Department of Education, taking into consideration all of the feedback we received from our staff, our parents, and our students. We are doing our very best to think differently, lead with heart, and courageously meet the challenges before us. Working together, I am confident that we, the students, staff, and families that make up our Hillsborough community, will continue moving forward with greater strength, courage, enthusiasm, and understanding. Thank you.